Okay, so we'll get started. Okay. Well, some will still linger in, but we're glad you're here. My name is Marlene Asalta with the Southern New Jersey Development Council. Thank you very much for being here, particularly thanks to our 3rd and 4th District legislators, Assemblywoman Simmons, Assemblyman Bailey, Hutchinson, Miller, and Senator Berzacelli. So thank you. He was right here. He'll be back. And a particular thank you to PSE&G Nuclear, who is our title sponsor. I think you all know that we don't pull these things off just by ourselves. So to our sponsors, including AT&T, Atlantic City Electric, I think are in the room, Ascenda Integrated Health, there's Anthony, I see you, Inspira Health, New Jersey American Water, Paulsboro Refinery Company, Rowan College of South Jersey, who is our host. So thank you, Candace, and Dr. Keating, who we know is off campus today, Stokes Creative Group, Belia Print and Design, and Nexus Property. I know I saw Rhonda. There you are. So thank you all for being here. And also a special thanks to our Gloucester County Chamber members, and that's led, of course, by Janet Garrity. Janet, thank you very much for your help. And also the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, Mike Eggington. Thank you, Mike. Salem County Chamber is Jennifer Jones. And there you are, Jennifer. Again, these things don't come together without that kind of spirit of cooperation, so we certainly appreciate that. And we have some elected officials in the room. I did see former County Commissioner Charles Hassler. I did see, there you are. Glassboro Mayor John Wallace. Didn't quite see John. Oh, my mayor. Nice seeing you. Good morning. Gloucester Township Mayor Dave Mayer. Guess Dave isn't here yet. Newfield Borough Mayor Charles Grover Jr. And Glassboro Councilwoman Danielle Spence. Did I miss Danielle? She's not. Okay, but we all know Danielle. So thank you to the elected officials that are in the room. And I certainly hope I didn't miss anyone. So to begin this program, Dr. Candace Rossetti is going to come to the microphone. She is the Assistant Vice President for College Business Partnerships and Career Centers at Rowan SJ. Understanding a workforce demand and student needs for career development and opportunities, Candace connects her expansive network of employers with students and alumni from RCSJ. Valuable service. Please reach out to Candace when you have a need for employees. So Candace, the microphone is yours, and we thank you again for hosting us this morning.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rowan College, South Jersey. Thank you for coming to campus. It's beautiful outside. The campus has grown tremendously, as I'm sure you've seen. Is anybody here for the very first time? Oh, okay. Well, we're going to meet after and go on a lovely tour. There's food in another building, so we can have lunch. So listen, when you have to give a welcoming speech, they tell you that you have to say, that you're honored and that you're privileged. And I'm actually really honored and feeling very privileged. This room is packed full of leaders, legislators, company organizers, people that run amazing programs and do incredible partnerships, some of them directly for my program. But all of you are here because you're committed and dedicated, loyal people to the college and the communities that you live in. So I really am honored and thankful that Dr. Keating is away today, and I get to say hello. We know that everybody has a limited amount of everything, right? A limited amount of time, a limited amount of effort because we get tired, a limited amount of resources, but Everybody makes a choice every day with all the things that they have at their disposal. And each one of you decided not just that you're going to come here today to hear from our wonderful panel of speakers, the people who lead our county and our community, but you've decided to partner in some way with the company that you work for, with the people that you reach out to, the volunteers, the boards, all the things that you do. And it really is the collectivity of all of us that make the communities grow. And that's what we're going to hear about this morning. Our legislators and our senator are going to talk to us about the programs and the things that they do, because they're dedicated to seeing the greater good beyond themselves. And that's what we're also committed to at Rowan College of South Jersey. We think about if we can help one more person start a degree or finish a degree, grow professionally, get connected to our premier partners. I know Ascenda is here, and there's Inspira representatives. We're in the Rosselli building. Those premier partners do more than just give us money. They show up for us. They take our phone call. They help with program development. They hire our students. They take our interns. They do all those things. And we know that you're all here too because you're connected in the same way. You're committed to that kind of growth. And at the college, we're looking for one more person that we can always help and connect to those resources, the people that are in the room that really want to see the next step taken, really want to see somebody advance their career, find the advantage that they need in life to just keep moving forward. And so all the things that we do are looking for helping someone else. And so, again, I'm thankful to be here today and to be able to say thank you to each one of you for all the work that you do. And the college is thankful for the partnership, thankful for the state leadership and the regional leadership that we have. So welcome this morning and enjoy the rest of your time. I'd like to hand it over now to Gina.
Thank you, Dr. Rosidi, for having us today. My name is Gina Sullivan. I'm with ELEC 825, and I am co-chair of the Government Affairs Committee with Marshall Spivak, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. This meeting is a product of the Government Affairs Committee. If you have any interest in joining the committee, feel free to approach myself or any of the SNJDC staff today. Let's get the program underway. I'd like to introduce Jeffrey Stokes of PSE&G Nuclear, the program's title sponsor, who will serve as MC for today's program. Jeffrey began his career serving as a nuclear reactor operator with the United States Navy for 6 years after high school. He then went on to join PSE&G Nuclear 20 years ago and currently serves as the Senior Director of Development for PSE&G Nuclear. Please welcome Jeffrey Stokes.
Morning. Can you hear me? Yeah. It's an honor to be here and really talk about two things that are very important in what's going on in the clean energy space in New Jersey. One of them is going to be nuclear. We're very familiar about that. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is hydrogen, which is a relatively new thing that is coming to New Jersey and the rest of the country. So I want to talk a little bit about why nuclear is critical to New Jersey. And I'm going to call this nuclear by the numbers. Right? So PSEG supports around a payroll of about $175 million at PSEG Nuclear, purchase more than $60 million a year in New Jersey goods and services, also contributes $1.2 billion annually net in Salem County, and about $67 million in surrounding areas in New Jersey County. PSEG Nuclear is the leading employer in Salem County and in southern New Jersey, with 4,500 in-state direct and secondary jobs, and that includes 4,000 jobs, nearly 4,000 jobs in Salem County. 1,639 full-time employees. Many of those are great-paying union jobs. 70% of these employees live in South Jersey. And 1,000 additional contractors twice a year when the nuclear units perform their refueling. PSEG Nuclear provides 40% of New Jersey's total electric power, but this is the real big one. 85% of New Jersey's clean energy comes from the nuclear power plants. So PSEG is also great environmental stewards, and not only are we operators, we do take care of the environment. So a few numbers on subsidies and why nuclear is a very cheap, the cheapest form of clean energy, and nothing against wind and solar, but New Jersey currently subsidizes wind from about $80 to $100 a megawatt hour, and solar, anywhere between $200 and $400 a megawatt hour. We do have an estuary enhancement program, which is recognized as the largest privately funded program in the country. That comprises of about 20,000 acres, which is 30 square miles of wetlands protection and preservation. We also have state-of-the-art screens on our Salem units, and this is very interesting, 13 fish ladders. And what a fish ladder is, to protect the environment for the fish on the screens, the fish will come into the ladder and they'll gently lift them to the other side. If you haven't seen it in operation, it's a pretty neat invention. So back to Salem and Hope Creek, fourth largest nuclear site in the U.S., about 3,575 megawatts, which is enough power for about 2.7 million homes. And each unit right now is licensed for 60 years, and we're looking to continue on with extension. And typically when I talk about energy, I talk about innovations, and I'll talk about, the things that we used to do and we don't do anymore. Not that so with nuclear. I mean, nuclear, we've been operating and generating power at those Salem and Hope Creek plants the same exact way with the same equipment that we've been doing it since the 70s and 80s. So what does that mean? In the nuclear Navy, there was only one way of doing something. You find the best way of doing it. You have process and procedures, and you have accountability for folks to do it. And that way makes nuclear so safe. We're looking at our refueling outages. Currently, right now, the refueling outages are on an 18-month cycle. Every 18 months, we shut the plants down. We replace the spent fuel with new fuel. We're actually looking to change that to every 24 months. And again, when those units shut down twice a year, there's 1,000 jobs. So we're talking about growth opportunities now. And one of those ones was, of course, when we're able to shorten the outages. I mean, the experience, we actually can improve our reliability. The plants are online a lot longer. And to talk about, we're looking at license extensions to operate the plants for an additional 20 years. And we're also looking at stretch power uprates. And what that simply means, we're going to have that same plant, and we're going to do some changes to the internals, some of the turbines, to make it give out more power, which essentially drives down the cost of power generation. So hydrogen. So currently in my current role, I lead the technical team of developing hydrogen generation for PSEG. And as I look back on hydrogen, many people think that this is something that's new. And I will tell you, some 36 years ago, when I was a reactor operator for the United States Navy, we used the same technology to breathe. So instead of, we use electrolysis of water, everyone knows what water is, H2O. We would vent the hydrogen and keep the oxygen. Well, it's the same principle, and that's what we're doing now. So this has been enabled by the Biden administration Infrastructure Reduction Act. So in 2022, there was basically a request to join a hydrogen hub. $8 billion were granted for this hydrogen hub, and 79 combinations of states competed for this grant. And last October, President Biden announced the 7 winners. And one of the winners was right here, the Mach 2 Mid-Atlantic Clean Hydrogen Hub, which comprised of South Jersey, Philadelphia, and Delaware. PSEG actually has a hydrogen generation project within that hub. And the Mach 2 hub, whole idea is to create a pipeline of hydrogen users, hydrogen transportation and distribution, and hydrogen generators. We're also working at with the state of New Jersey and the Port of New York and New Jersey on a hydrogen generation project at the port. There's nearly 5,000 registered drayage trucks at the port, and our project will generate and take 600 of those diesel trucks off the road, and in one project we'll reduce those emissions by about 25%. New Jersey has large ambitions to reduce transportation CO2 by about 84%, and we believe that that sector is something that it's one of those hard to decarbonize areas, and we're going to really look at that. And why PSEG? We've been working with hydrogen since the 50s. We know how to build nuclear plants, combined cycle plants, coal plants, do transmission. It's going to be a source of a lot of brand new union jobs. There's going to be an education piece where someone's going to have to train this workforce. Hopefully Rowan will be a part of that. And we're just excited to be a part of that new technology. Thank you.
Thanks, Marlene. So first of all, thank you, Marlene, for your leadership, and Ben, and putting this together today. Always great to have the opportunity to be in a room full of leaders, as was already stated today, and press the flesh and get to know each other a little bit better, and share different things that are happening. I don't normally hit lead off, so I'm a little bit taken off. Back in the day, back in my high school days, people always laugh. I was about 140 pounds, dripping wet, and I was actually the cleanup hitter for my high school baseball team. So I don't normally hit lead off, but we'll give it a go. When I think about the first 2 months in the legislature, I think back, and I'm not talking about on a cerebral level, but I think about a book that was very important in my life, which was all I ever really needed to know I learned in kindergarten. And so the first few days was, one of the things you learn in that book was make new friends. And so one of the first things we did was we certainly became friends throughout the campaign and as part of our great team here in the 3rd Legislative District. But we also made friends in LD4, and it's been great to get to know Dan and Cody, and of course Paul Moriarty, and then our friends from North Jersey. We quickly, there are a lot of newbies, right? There are a lot of new faces in the legislature. So I think that helped a lot of us because we wanted to meet new people, and all of us were kind of the freshman class of coming in and getting together. And then, of course, you got to know where your desk is when you want to get to kindergarten, know where your desk is. And I look around this room, and I think there must be a lot of either current or former Methodists in the room because you're all sitting in the back. And so that fit right in with us because we're the back row bunch. If you come down the floor of the assembly, all 4 of us are in the very back row, which is nice. We kind of get to sit back there and observe, yes, as Heather's saying, but also we have a good time. While it's a very serious job, we don't take ourselves too seriously at all times as well. And so we've had a good time getting to know each other. If you don't know where I came from and how I got in this role, I look around and I see I see a lot of friends in this room, but 2 close friends from the mental health world, behavioral health care world, Dr. Anthony DeFabio with Ascenda and Jim Curtin. And so they know what it's like to lead nonprofit organizations. That's your IRS determination, my friends. It's not your business model. You're not trying to lose money in a nonprofit world. And so we struggle every day with the organizations that we run in meeting payrolls, in handling insurances, and all the pieces of personnel, and then certainly working for your customers and your constituents on a daily basis that you have to do. And so I really feel like that really prepared me in my 30 years in that world of having to fundraise and having to know what your stakeholders wanted and what they didn't want. We have the added dimension in my world of being a faith-based organization, and if you think it's easy to run a faith-based organization and all the different mouths that come at you from that dimension, it is not. It is not. You have a lot of different ideas around what that means and things along those lines. So I felt like that really prepared me for this next step, and so I'm truly honored to be in this world. I'm truly honored to have this responsibility on a daily basis. The other cool thing about our team and about being around LD4 leadership as we head out of spring training here, it's like you have a really strong pitching staff coming out. And you watch that leadoff pitcher go out there and they pitch 7, 8 strong innings, and you know you better bring it the next day when it's your turn in the rotation. And so we feed off of each other. And I know when we leave here today, after we listen to each other and we come back, we're going to say, okay, how can I fine-tune? How can I get better at this job? How can I be stronger in what I'm trying to do each and every day? And so it's been an eye-opening experience. As you know, I'm sure that you're aware, I was named to the Telecommunication and Utilities and Transportation Committees. 2 very, very important roles in our district. You all know that I'm from Salem County. You know the issues that we have in Salem County. We have very similar issues in Gloucester County and, of course, the parts of Cumberland County as well. I'm so thankful for the leadership of our team captain, Senator John Berticelli, who, with over 20 years' experience, and even more than that, than as a mayor in Paulsboro, that is there as our leader that we can bounce ideas off of. And he's there to tell us when something is a good idea or something, well, we better rethink that. Or maybe you want to think about it this way. I'm so thankful for the leadership of Heather Simmons and her 12 years as a county commissioner here in Gloucester County, the assistant director here, and her many years of economic development here in Gloucester County and making things happen here for Gloucester County. Again, I think the other day in the office, I walked down the hallway 4 times. I may be off, Mike, but you may know the next number. It was 5 times, thank you, to say, Heather, okay, this is an issue that we're having at the county level. You know, how would you have handled this, and how should we handle this here in Salem County, and who should I reach out to? But the bottom line is we're getting things done. Unfortunately, we had a 2-year stoppage in our district, and thankfully we've already seen things getting done and connections being made, and that's where our team really is strong. Is that we don't always have all the answers ourselves, but we know how to connect with you, and to get the answers from you, and to hear your feedback, and which directions that we should think about, and how we should continue to move forward. Much like when I first entered kindergarten, I learned that there's a report card that comes out in life as well. Our report card comes out every 2 years, and so we also have to think about that as we think about different decisions we're making and where we're headed. It has been just an incredible experience. I know the hook is coming out that I've got to get off the platform here with my 8 minutes. But when you sit in a 4-hour joint telecom on the Assembly side, environment, energy on the Senate side, hearing around energy and the grid and the future of energy, which many of you have already come up to me with your opinions about that today as well. It's an amazing experience to hear all the viewpoints on that, and to hear all the different sides of that issue. Certainly, when you sit on transportation and you hear all the hot spots, we jumped right into the pool coming into the legislature. It's interesting that it's not a fiscal year turnaround. It's a mid-year turnaround. So we get elected in November, sworn in January, and then go right into budget season. It's interesting how that plays out along those lines. But it's been tremendous along those lines. I look forward to continued conversation, and I appreciate being with you here today. Thank you.
Yeah. So, thank you, Assemblyman Bailey. We are going to hold off on questions until the end. There'll be time for question and answers. We've asked each legislator to briefly talk about the priorities as it relates to their business and economic development. We're going to come back to LD4 and then go back to LD3. So we're going to start over here with newly elected Assemblyman Dan Hutchison, a practicing attorney. He is no stranger to the region, having served on the Gloucester Township Council from 2005 to 2023. Assemblyman Hutchison is in his first term in the Assembly representing the 4th District and serves on the Assembly Financial Institutions and Insurance Committee, Judiciary and Regulated Professional Committees. Please welcome Assemblyman Hutchison.
Thank you. I'll come down here as well. So I am the Zach Wheeler of this here pitching staff, Mr. Bailey. My main focus my first 2 months has been meeting the different legislators throughout the state, just as Dave said. Because if I'm going to do anything, I have to get 41 votes. So if I can't go to Jersey City and talk to Barbara, or Montclair and speak to Mayor Mike, or Julio and Gabe are from where? East New York, West New York, whatever. Then I'm not going to get anything done. So that was a very important thing for me to do. The second thing was I was fortunate. I met Tony from Comcast. Does anybody know Tony? He's amazing, okay? Tony took me around. I met everybody. I met Mike. I did not have a beer when I met Mike. But I met a lot of people. Mike Wallace, so many people. And I'm gathering the information, I'm getting the experience, and I'm listening to people. When you meet with me, I will not say yes, because I've now learned there is an opposite side to what you're talking about, and I have to listen to both sides. Recently, I was at a regulated professions meeting. I had met with the optometrists, and boy, I'll tell you, they made a case for something. But then I met with the ophthalmologists, and I was like, wow, I have no idea how I'm going to vote for these things. So that's very important for us to, all of us, to understand. My background is I passed the CPA exam. I did not get the certification because I didn't want to do the auditing. I went to law school. I got my JD. I do bankruptcy law, which is very important. If you know who I am, you know that that is the essence of who I am as a person. I'm going to graduate this May with my Master's of Law from St. John's, and if I have to drive up there one more time, I'm going to die. During the campaign, I wrote a 75-page paper and still managed to hit 10,000 doors. It was very tough, but it's very rewarding. The committees that I'm on may sound boring to most. Financial institutions and insurance, judiciary, regulated professions, but I'm a nerd. I am absolutely a nerd with a good sense of humor. My favorite course is Federal Rules of Bankruptcy Procedure. I think it's a beautifully written book, and the bankruptcy code matches it. It's amazing. And what I'm going to bring to the legislature is the ability to do a deep dive on legislation to see how it's going to impact the community, to see how it's going to impact the businesses, the people. And I will look at it and I will ask Mike, I will ask Tony, I will ask everybody, what impact is this going to have on your business? Because if there are no jobs, Bill and Chris, if there are no jobs, then my clients can't eat food. So we're all together in this. So I don't want to take too long. I just want to let you know that as a business owner for 27 plus years in Woodbury, when I do my profit share distributions, the way I fund them is I forego my paychecks until I meet that level. So I'm in it. I get it. I understand what it's like to make payroll, Dave. I totally understand, and I will keep you guys in mind when I'm in the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Hutchison. Please welcome his district mate, Assemblyman Cody Miller. Cody is a director of the Foundation and Alumni Relations right here at Rowan College of South Jersey, and is also in his first term in the Assembly. Previously, he served on the Marone Township Council as a president of the Board of Education in 2022. He is also a fireman with the Williamstown Fire Company No. 1. In the Assembly, he currently serves on the Higher Education Committee, Oversight Reform and Federal Regulations Committee, as well as the Committee on Science, Innovation, and Technology. Please welcome Assemblyman Cody Miller.
Thank you, everybody. It's good to see so many faces of people that I know. And I say that because when we talk about this and the passion that I have, especially serving in the legislature, we're your advocates. We're people that want to advocate for you. With being a local council person in Monroe, I dealt with the businesses when they were trying to set up shop and establish themselves. We dealt with local residents that were experiencing issues, whether it be housing insecurity or them losing their job and being unemployed and needing someone to reach out to figure out how they go through that process. So for me personally, I do this and I love this because I get to help people. It's what I do in my day job. There's students that come through our office that need help to be able to afford their education, and I work to ensure that they get the funding that they need so they don't drop out of college, or they're able to go to get food and be able to feed themselves, because these are the issues that we experience and we deal with in the state of New Jersey. And I think for me coming into the legislature and my background and knowing what it's like when your family has to worry about, when their next meal is coming to the table, because my mother was a single mom who worked 3 jobs and supported the 4 of us. Those are the people that I think about when I think about the policy decisions that we make in the state of New Jersey. And for me and the committees that I'm on, the biggest thing that I enjoy about them is that we get to help people. Higher education, you're at an institution right now that really is transformative, that works with business and industry, and I'm so thankful to have Assemblywoman Heather Simmons here who works at this institution as well. What we're doing here, how we want to work with you to ensure that we're meeting your business needs, that's what it ultimately comes down to. We want to ensure that we have a skilled and highly trained and educated workforce, and that just doesn't mean going to college. It means going through the avenue and route of a certificate program. That also means that ensuring that we're meeting the needs of the community. I'm thankful to be supported by my running mate, who I call a personal friend, Assemblyman Dan Hutchison. And for me, the decisions that I'm going to make are going to be cumulative, meaning I'm going to reach out to you and work with you to ensure that we do what is best for the state of New Jersey, while also understanding and recognize, one, that we have to ensure that people have good wages and good paying jobs. Two, that we don't want to tax our businesses to death, so they decide to leave and move out of the state of New Jersey, because that ultimately affects our bottom line. So I just want to say thank you. I look forward to working with you, and I hope to get to know more about you as well, because as we see in these committees, every person comes to us with an ask or an issue. We need to hear this from you, and we need to know what's happening, because it's how we make decisions, and it's how we become better legislators. So thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Miller. As we move back to LDD, I do think that Assemblyman Bailey deserves the proper introduction. So Assemblyman Bailey is serving this first term in the New Jersey Assembly. He is the CEO of Ranch Hope, a nonprofit youth behavior organization, a long-standing support service agency in Salem County. He serves on the Transportation and Independent Authorities Committee, as well as the Telecommunications and Utilities Committee. Thank you, Assemblyman Bailey. So, moving on, please welcome his district mate, the longtime Gloucester County Commissioner and former Deputy Commissioner Director, Assemblywoman Heather Simmons. She is the Vice President for Strategic Planning and Institutional Advancement here at Rowan College of South Jersey, and currently serves on the Commerce, Economic Development, and Agriculture Committee, the Higher Education Committee, as well as the Science, Innovation, and Technology Committee. Please welcome Assemblywoman Heather Simmons.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Marlene, for getting this event together today, for gathering everyone. And very wisely, she separated District 3 from District 4, because I think you can see we just don't get along at all. But truthfully, we're blessed to be part of such a strong team in South Jersey, because the voice of South Jersey needs to be heard. I think Dave referenced some of the things that we're already doing to try and make accomplishments for the people, the communities, the businesses that we serve here. And that relies on all of us working together as a team. And our teams don't have D's and R's on our shirts. They have people on our minds. And those are not based on politics. Those are based on community needs. And that's what we're focused on. Dave talked a little bit about the book that he's been thinking of, and it's funny, mine's a lot less deep than yours, but I've been thinking of Who Moved My Cheese a little bit, because having served as a county commissioner for so long and really worked with many of you and been in these settings for so many years on the economic and workforce development side, the work of a county commissioner is largely operational, and the work that we do in Trenton is largely policy oriented. So it's creating the rules of the game and dealing with people who have very different questions and needs than they did when I was dealing with them from my office in Woodbury. So it's a very big change. And Dave is absolutely right, and Dan, that spending the first few months starting to build relationships and getting to know where things are. I will tell you, in my first voting session, there was a rather heated debate on the floor going on for an extended period of time, and I needed to step out of the room for some personal needs, and I needed somebody to take me to the restroom because I couldn't find it. And I said to her, please stay because I won't be able to find my way back. And I forgot to drop breadcrumbs. And truthfully, the State House is a lot like that, literally and figuratively. But thankfully, I have two new brothers with me who are providing guidance at every turn. And I will tell you, the general thought up in the State House about John is, geez, did he ever leave? I didn't realize he had ever left. And having someone with that institutional knowledge and someone who is respected equally on both sides of the aisle, and hearing the term statesman used to describe him many times really makes both of us, all of us, feel like we've joined the right team, and that we're here to get things done. We're not here to bicker and complain. We're here to get things done. So I want to thank Jeffrey, too, for his comments about clean energy. I had the opportunity to meet yesterday with some of your team, Jim and Teresa from PSEG Nuclear, and I think what they learned from me was that I know just enough about the workings of clean energy to be dangerous. But what I do understand are the needs of workforce. I've spent a good part of my career working on workforce and economic development on the education side. And what I can tell you is that Southern New Jersey has a whole lot of talent. And coupled with that are a whole lot of really strong educational institutions, some of which are represented in this room. Rowan College of South Jersey, Rowan University, some of our K-12 and vocational school districts also represented here. And what we can do together, partnered with, in this case, clean energy, other industries, such as cannabis, such as healthcare, such as education itself, advanced manufacturing, food manufacturing, agriculture. We're creating the workforce of tomorrow. And answering the needs of that workforce is the work that we're doing in Trenton. Because when industry chooses to locate here, to grow here, to stay here, they're making an investment in this community. And the big reason that they choose to do that is because there are talented people here, a pipeline of talent to take those jobs. So when I'm doing my work in Trenton, my focus is on workforce development and education. And I'm very privileged to be part of 3 committees, 2 of them with Assemblyman, what the heck is your name? I don't even remember your name. Assemblyman Miller. That's my 55 showing. You know, I turned 55 last week, and ever since then, I can't seem to complete a sentence. And it's a real thing. And also, I can't see any of you. So I would like to acknowledge some friends in the audience, but I can't see you. So there we are. To wrap it up, though, what I'd like to say is that we talk a lot about workforce and education, but as a team in LD3, we're putting our money where our mouths are. I'd like to acknowledge, and he's going to hate me for doing this, my legislative aide here, Mike Harrington, some of you will know. Mike is a part-time legislative aide with me because he is a senior at Rowan University. And that was an intentional decision on the part of all of us to kind of work around his schedule and allow him that time to figure out what his next path will be, but also to enjoy his senior year because he graduated high school in 2020. It's very important for him to enjoy this last year of college and to embrace that experience. But he's also on a pathway to a future, and we're proud to be a little piece of that, and to have him as part of our team. He also spent some time working with the team in LD4, and we're grateful to them for lending him to us. But in addition to Mike, we also have 2 additional Rowan University students, a Rowan College student, a Gateway High School student, and we're in the process of hiring 2 ACT students, which is the neurodivergent student group right here on the campus of Rowan College. So we put our money where our mouth is when we talk about preparing talent for the future. That's what we're really about. And again, that doesn't have an R or a D emblazoned on your chest. It just has in your mind the right thing to do for our communities and for our employers. So thank you for the time, Marlene and Jeffrey.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Simmons. We close out the event welcoming from the 3rd District, Senator John Bersicelli. Senator Bersicelli spent 19 years in the New Jersey General Assembly, 15 of those years as Deputy Speaker. He also served as the mayor of Paulsboro from 1996 to 2011. Senator Bersicelli serves on the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Legislators Oversight Committee, and the Senate Committee on Transportation. Please welcome Senator John Bersicelli.
Well, good morning to everyone. And I am not reading any books at the moment. And I want to thank Marlene for the extensive breakfast buffet that greeted us at the door. I hadn't seen Danish that small in a long time. I am happy to be back at the State House. It was comfortable to walk into. I find it as elevating a place to walk into as I did the very first day that I arrived there. To walk in with Dave and Heather is simply just been a wonderful experience from the campaign forward, to meet new friends in the 4th District. Was Paul not allowed to attend today, Marlene? Moriarty, what, was he not invited? Was he not allowed to be here? Or was he busy? Out of town. I didn't think of that one. I say that jokingly, of course, because the South Jersey group, this group, has always been important. And Marlene has just been a tower of strength for this region and a voice that's respected across the state. And the one thing that, for myself, for this privilege to be back for this 4-year term, I feel a sense of urgency that we have to get things done. Not so much that the clock is ticking, the world's not ending, unless we do something stupid collectively. We'll see what happens in November. But we have real work to do, and we have to decide if we're going to tackle hard issues. I'm driving through, coming from Paulsboro through, and I'm driving through Winona, and I realize the simple difference between Winona and Paulsboro is the absence of poverty. And as we look at our state budget this year, and I asked this question, it's become a rhetorical question to treasurers through the years that I have sat with, and I said, what would our state budget look like if Johnson's war on poverty had been won and poverty had not been turned into a business and an institution? And I can't get an answer. But I would tell you, just having a sense of the structure of this budget, that if it doesn't exceed 20%, I would be stunned. So as a society, when we talk about things we have to do, we don't seem to talk about eliminating poverty. Now, recognizing there's always going to be people that are struggling more than other people. But we have too many people that are technically poor in a nation so grand as this. So we have decisions to make. Now, we're not going to make them all at the state level, but we should never take that out of our thoughts. We fix it with programs, but we don't always fix it with a job because we've exported jobs, NAFTA occurred, all these things happened, and America's middle class is greatly challenged. As we move to a global economy, we forgot that we should insist that the world economy, the world class should come up to our middle class and let America come down to a world class. And that's starting to catch up with us. And it's not something we're going to fix today, but I just want you to hear that from me, that, as I look at the work we have to do, if you go straight ahead where the problem is, the problem in my mind, in large part, is we have too many people in the wrong status of being in poverty or middle class. Education, just, and the ramifications that come from there. So I don't say that to present a down note. I just say that to say, look, we've got to keep our eyes open. And there's things we have to do. And we have an opportunity in South Jersey, different than our friends in North Jersey. And I use that term correctly, friends. Dan spoke about it. My partners have spoken about it. We insist on building relationships. We don't have enemies at the State House. It's a collegial place. It's not like Washington. It's not the Jerry Springer Show, season 7. People talk to each other. Although I'm not sure the governor listens that often. But nonetheless, people talk to each other. So we have an opportunity here because we have a chance for growth the correct way. We see what happened in North Jersey as Manhattan spilled out, and in places, even in our backyard, where development got ahead of planning. So we have a precious opportunity where we have open space, where we want things to be built, and we want it to be built right. We have to focus on some basic things. The light rail has to happen. Now, granted, any progress always has controversy. Wind is coming. Fossil fuels need to stay. Nuclear, we have recognized, is important. And remember, think about these cycles. 15 years ago, we were clamoring to close coal plants and we had to build natural gas plants. Now those same voices want us to close the natural gas plants because we're going to do something else. But they don't want wind because they're going to see the windmill when they leave their home on the main line and come to Ocean City, and they're looking out, they think they're going to see a windmill. Maybe we should paint them blue, they won't see them at all. But the point is, you know, change is going to come, and we have to figure out how to manage it. So we need an energy portfolio that makes sense, that doesn't allow us to be held hostage under any circumstances. So you need to marry. And I'm looking at Mike Capone, fossil fuels have to stay. Wind has to be developed. Nuclear, we'd like to see an expansion. This hydrogen thing is really interesting. I'm not sure I understand. I'm still afraid of the Hindenburg. I don't go on cruise ships because watching the movie Titanic. So little things affect me. Dave reads books, I watch movies. So we have opportunity, but we have to pay attention. And Americans are distracted. I mean, baseball season is going to start. Who's going to pay attention to the budget? You got baseball season starting. We get ready. As Catholics, watching the Phillies is like penance. It's going to keep us out of purgatory. But it's coming, and we do that with excitement. So I always, when Marlene allows me to speak at these events, I always say to all of you and remind you how important it is to be part of this, to be a member of this, because we need this regional voice. It has to be focused. We can accomplish anything we set out to do if we can make the case and we have the relationships in place. So I just want to say to all of you, some of you are in our legislative district, some of you helped get us back to the State House, and I say back because Heather and Dave are a perfect fit. I said through the campaign repeatedly, our assembly team is strong. We struggle in the Senate candidacy side, but we're going to work through it. And we got through it because a lot of people helped. But we recognize the responsibility that we carry being there, and we see all of you in that process. So we have to decide what we want the state to look like, we decide what we want our neighborhoods to look like, and we have to keep an eye on the bigger picture. There's a lot of responsibility being an American if we choose to participate. And if we don't, other people are going to make decisions for us that we may not like. So there's no time to be shy. It's no time to put your head down. And as leaders collectively, it's time to inspire others to get involved and remind them that if you don't speak up, the other voice is going to carry the day. And you may not like what they say. So at least balance it out so we can get to the middle. It's always a very comfortable place to be. Look forward to some questions, Marlene, if we're going to do it. If you can send someone else out to shop, right, maybe pick up some lunch or something.
Well, we are looking forward to some questions. I'm going to introduce the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Glenn DeVilla from Performance Marketing. Glenn will hand you that microphone.
No, I can you hear me in the back?
No, take the mic.
You sure?
He's got such a
Just older people here? Good morning, everybody. If we have a leadoff batter and we have a starting pitcher, I'm your Jose Alvarado. I am your closer for the morning. So our guests have been kind enough to grace us with some questions and answers. So do we have anybody out there who wants to ask a question?
Don't all raise your hand at once now. No questions?
None?
Okay.
There we go. Coming to the microphone with you right now. Right behind you. Nope, right there.
Oh, I got it on. Look at that. Eric Ford. I run the New Jersey Energy Coalition. I also work at Stevens and Lee Public Affairs with a good man, Skip Semino, good friend, good mentor that I've had. I've spent the last, I think, decade in the energy sector, working at the Board of Public Utilities, now at the Energy Coalition for the last 6, 7 years. I've lost track. I've gotten older, have 2 more kids. So my question is going to be around workforce development. Had a nice meeting yesterday with IBW and Local 94. We were talking about the need for workforce development. And there was a piece of legislation we had started last session with Andrew Zwicker on helping to fund a program for apprenticeships in nuclear energy. Because with our tours around the state about looking at nuclear, figuring out how do we ensure it's staying up, one of the things Zwicker and I talked about was, here's an issue. We need to maintain the workforce, but also have the education for the next generation. So there's a piece of legislation out there for it. And it is really geared towards apprenticeships for nuclear energy. I think that's something for you guys to take a look at, but also just take on a holistic view of the energy sector and the workforce development that needs to be behind that. When I was at the board, Public Utilities, we would go to national conferences, and every state, every utility, every commission's dealing with the same issue. So, hopefully we can find some way to move that forward, but just want to get your thoughts a little more granular into that area.
Thank you so much for that question. We talked a little bit about the need for energy diversity and how that's where our heads are in terms of energy, and you need workforce to support that. And apprenticeships is kind of a buzzword that you're hearing a lot at the federal, state, and the local levels, and certainly our partners in labor really understand how that works. But we work with a lot of industry partners who kind of have their own training and apprenticeships in-house. I was just at the South Jersey Advanced Manufacturing Summit yesterday talking about apprenticeships and how industry partners can really embrace that. And one of the things that we see often is that industry are building these programs, but then not registering those apprenticeships. And without that step, they lack the ability to have access to education and resources that can help subsidize the cost of doing that. So that's one thing, helping industry partners understand first the value of the apprenticeship and how it can be used as a tool, but also the relationships that need to be in place in order to make the most of an apprenticeship model. And those relationships need to be with labor, but also with educational institutions. In other words, we all kind of need to be at the table speaking the same language in order to accomplish what we have as a shared goal. That sounds really simple. The challenge truly has been on both sides, because what we find, and I see a lot of my colleagues from both Rowan University and Rowan College and Stockton here today, is that we as educators speak one language, but industry speaks another language, and labor has kind of its own language, right? And then there's government, and who the heck knows what language government speaks, right? So when all of those divergent points of view and perspectives can come together, is when real workforce development can happen, because they can start speaking the same language. One of the things, as an example, that we often see is lacking is an understanding from industry of what are the skill sets that are required for nuclear or for hydrogen or for fossil fuel industry that can be transferable among occupations within that industry. And second, what are the occupations that you have available today, tomorrow, and down the line that educational institutions and labor unions can begin preparing a workforce for. So it's really getting everybody together and speaking the same language.
Thank you. Next question. Everybody wants to go back to work? There we go.
Usually loud enough, but I'll be nice enough to speak. Thank you. Gerald O'Connor, Morgan Stanley, about the internships. Also Woodbury Main Street and the Greater Woodbury Chamber of Commerce. This is to the Senator, because it means so much to Woodbury. Do we have a clear timeline or a general timeline for the light rail, which we're looking forward to?
Well, I am too, by the way, and I also think that light rail should make a right-hand turn and move through West Effort, Paulsboro to Pure Land as well as we think forward, because the freight traffic has declined on the Conrail line because of the continued downsizing of some industry down that line. Two gentlemen who are on the design side of it said that they expect to be 30% done in the design. Are they still here? They could answer that question better. And by the way, we have to maintain the political will as a community voice to make sure this gets done. There is an organized opposition. I think that their opposition, though we must respect it, is misplaced in large part. And we have to be vigilant about making the case that light rail will serve the future. I had raised the question, why is it being electrified? There's answers for that. It may come in various forms in the end, form of electric. Some have mentioned it could even come in form of hydrogen propulsion. So you think if we have problems now with crossings and noise, if we're going to suggest hydrogen running through these communities, that may be a bit of a lift. But the bottom line is light rail will be a benefit, but we have to make sure that we can make the case.
Let me just add something to what John said. Yes, there is an organized opposition, but the good news is the Southern New Jersey Development Council has formed an organized coalition. There are over 100 businesses that have signed on to that coalition. I invite anyone here that hasn't signed on, if you believe in the Glassboro-Camden Light Rail and light rail in general, please do reach out to us. We'd love to include you in our coalition, in our mailings, and in our efforts going forward. We believe that public transportation is absolutely essential to the growth of South Jersey, and particularly this line that will serve not only Glassboro, and I know the mayor has a big smile on his face, but also the communities that think they may not like it, but I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised at how much they do like it. So if, again, you're interested in helping us through that coalition, please reach out to us. Mr. Chairman.
More questions? Yes, please. It's coming down right now.
Gerald Hodges with the Boys and Girls Club of Gloucester County. Congratulations to all of you. I set up there some familiar faces. I don't know if there's more so a question or a comment about child care. We talk about workforce development, all the other things that we're looking to do. As some of you, or maybe all of you know, child care is a very expensive, it's a mortgage payment to a lot of families. And in some of the communities that we serve and that you all represent, it may not affect as much as some of the communities that we serve in. Senator Bertoccelli talked about Paulsboro earlier. I'm just asking about funding that's being put into these communities to help support the child care part of this whole thing. When COVID hit in 2020, we were serving approximately in Paulsboro alone, approximately 70 to 80 kids a day at the Boys and Girls Club there. Once COVID was gone and transportation and all the things that we seen come a part of, we were serving about 19 kids a day, from 70 to 80 kids a day. And it was simply because there was no transportation for kids to get to, facilities. So I guess my question is, are we doing, or is there anything coming to help support the child care, not just in Paulsboro, not just the Boys and Girls Club of Gloucester County, but child care in the state of New Jersey overall? Because I know as a parent, I would feel much better being at work or these workforce development programs and things of that nature if I knew my child was somewhere safe after school. So that's just a question and a comment, I guess, together.
Gerald, it's great to see you. Your name has been out there in my mind. I want to talk to you after this is over today, because it'd be my pleasure to get to know you. That your name has been in my mind for many, many years. For back when you were a young guy and I was a young guy, and all those kind of different things of your experiences. But it's great to see you today. No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So as you know, and as I mentioned, my friends that are here today, my life has been spent in the arena of making sure that families are healthy, and to making sure that in situations where they've had trauma or they've had situations, how can we stand side by side with them and take their hand and not give them all the answers. They've got the answers. They just need somebody to help them get in the right direction. And so one of the first things that was our majority leader, Lou Greenwald, said to us when we first came in was, look, if you have an area of expertise That's not really a committee that I want you necessarily to choose. We're going to have you. We're going to have you in that realm. We're going to be able to call on you when we have different questions about things. And so for most of us in different ways, we spread our wings out in different directions. But I can assure you, when we talk about workforce development, when we talk about all the pieces of these issues around the economy and jobs, that's just as important. That's just as important. Many folks don't know this in the history of Ranch Hope, but Ranch Hope wouldn't celebrate its 60th anniversary this May if it weren't for my mother going back to work in the early 70s to become a nurse to support our family. Our child care at the time was me getting in the car at 5 years of age with my mom and driving to Cumberland County College at the time and sitting in the back room in the classroom while she took classes. I don't know what I was reading then, John, but it certainly wasn't anything. So I want to tell you, not only for me personally, but our entire team here in South Jersey gets it. And we understand because we hear, one of the things we haven't talked about, because we're talking 30,000 feet today mainly. We're talking about large organizations and companies and all those kind of things. But the day-to-day part of what we do every day in service to our community is fielding hundreds of emails, of having people that are walking into our district offices with real life issues like child care. We had a young man come in this week who was struggling getting his driver's license because he was struggling taking the written test. So we actually had someone come and sit down with him to take the test. And you know what? After the 6th time, he passed it. And he's going to get his driver's license for the first time. He wept over that help. They're the real life situations that we deal with as legislators. We can talk about all the real exciting parts of that and being in the State House and all those kinds of things, which are phenomenal. The hair still goes up on the back of my neck when I walk onto that floor every time, and the unbelievable responsibility to be one of 120, to have this responsibility to represent you and so many. So I just wanted you to know we certainly are with you on that front and want to continue to support our moms and dads and our kids in our communities and getting that done. Thank you, Jared.
One last question. Anyone else go back to work? Okay, let's go back to work. Thank you. Okay, that concludes our event this morning. First, we want to thank our guests, Senator Berzicelli, Assemblywoman Simmons, Assemblyman Bailey, Hutchinson, and Miller for taking the time to speak with us. This is the place where we as the SNJDC and the Southern New Jersey business community has an opportunity to speak the same language, to get to know each other and to share our concerns and our needs with our representatives. We also want to thank Jeffrey Stokes and PSE&G Nuclear for their support and participation today. We can't do it without you, so thank you very much. We need to thank all of our sponsors. You know who you are. Thank you for everything that you do. So with that, and thank you to our host, Dr. Rosidi and Rowan College of South Jersey for the great room. This is one of the better rooms that we have these events in, so thank you very much. And with that, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.